I guess you're all here to find out what the Texas Optimization Program does. And we have a wonderful panel here that is going to kind of talk about what they do. So without further ado, let me introduce you to our panel. So we have here Christina DuPont. She's a member of the Texas Optimization Program in the Drinking Water Supply Division of TCEQ. She holds a bachelor's degree in bioenvironmental science and a master's degree in environmental microbiology from Texas A&M University. She's worked for the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality since 2016. Her current position with the agency gives her the opportunity to provide technical assistance to public water systems related to disinfection and nitrification action planning, surface water treatment, and including membrane filtration technology and emergency contingency planning. Our next member of the team, or actually...
The mouthful there.
Yeah, that's quite a bit to say. Our next team member is David Simons. He's a senior engineer on the Texas Optimization Program and Response Team. He received his Bachelor's of Science and Master of Science degrees in Civil Engineering from the University of Texas at Austin. David worked for an environmental consulting firm in Dallas, held an engineering position with the cities of McKinney and Taylor, and worked for a civil engineering consulting firm in the Austin area prior to taking a position at the TCEQ in 2013. He provides technical assistance to public water systems in TCEQ regional offices and conducts on-site evaluations of surface water treatment plants and distribution systems. And our next panel member is the Texas Optimization Program team leader. He serves as team leader with the Water Supply Division of the TCEQ.
What's his name?
Oh, Brian Matthews. I am so sorry. I went ahead of myself, I'm sorry. Brian Matthews. So he's our team leader, and under his purview is the Texas Optimization Program, the Cross Connection Backflow Program, Temporary Management and Receivership Program, Capacity Development, and Drought. Brian is a native of Hutto. I don't know how to say that. Is it Hutto? Yeah, Texas. Go Hippos. He possesses a bachelor's degree in Homeland Security and a master's in Public Administration from Texas State University. Prior to joining TCEQ in 2014, Brian served 23 years on active duty in the Special Operations Community, with the last 11 years of his service being in 2 presidentially directed special mission units within the Joint Special Operations Command. Here's our panel. So I guess we'll go ahead and start with talking to our panel. So I wanted to go ahead and start with Brian. So Brian, as top team leader, can you tell us what TOP is?
So obviously TOP is a program that provides technical assistance to water systems as well as training, but it's not just any technical assistance. What I like to say is that the team is actually compelled to work with water systems at a point in time where the problem or the scenario exceeds the water system's ability to cope with what that problem is. So whether it be the training or skill set that they have on the ground there, or even out in the TCEQ regions, a lot of times the problem or the scenario that's at hand is too complex, and that's where the team comes in. The team is 7 people strong. David and Christina are out of the Austin office. We have Nubia, she's out of the Abilene office. We have representation down in Beaumont and Tyler as well. And so we have a pretty good coverage around the state. We also get into emergency response. Many times if there's a natural disaster or anything, we'll get involved with that. And then always the favorite assignment of ours, which is the now emails from the legislator that says, go fix this problem. You guys are the only ones that can go fix it. And so this team goes out and does it frequently every year. So the most complex problems are handled by this team. And as far as the origin story of the Texas Optimization Team, it really stems from back in the early 90s when there was a breakout in Milwaukee of, I can't say that word, David, cryptosporidium. Yep, there you go. It affected about 400,000 people, killed 69, and so from that came the optimization program at the EPA level, and then each state implemented their optimization program, and thus Texas Optimization, or referred to as TOPS.
So, Christina, Brian mentioned a waterborne disease outbreak, which prompted to the EPA taking a closer look at surface water treatment. Can you expand on how that impacted surface water treatment standards, and what does optimization in the Texas Optimization Program mean?
Okay, yeah. So when that time that happened, that cryptosporidium outbreak in Milwaukee, the EPA realized that the standards that were in place at the time were not good enough to remove those really tiny cryptosporidium oocysts from the water. So what they did to address that is they worked with states like Texas to optimize, to help plants perform better than the minimum standards that the EPA had set. So Texas started optimizing Texas plants, and then the EPA moved forward with lowering the maximum turbidity that is used as an indicator for the removal of those disease-causing organisms. And Texas continued with our optimization program to help surface water treatment plants specifically, so a lot of the time we are working with surface water treatment plants, be better than the minimum standards that the EPA has set and that Texas kind of enforces. That's where that optimization comes in. We want systems to do better than the minimum standards that are in the rules.
What do they get out of doing better than the minimum regulations?
Well, I'm glad you asked, David. There is a program surface water treatment plants can enroll in, the recognition program, and it does require that they send in some extra reports to TCEQ, but it proves that they are doing much better than those minimum standards, and that they continue to do much better every month that they send those reports in. So being part of that recognition program is kind of like a gold star for that water system. It absolutely helps protect public health, because that is our goal at the base of what we do, is to make sure that everyone involved is sending out the best water that they can and that nobody is getting sick.
The EPA actually showed that if you reduced your individual filter effluent turbidities, like let's say 0.3 to 0.1, that you could get. I probably have to ask Noble exactly, but was it like 2 log extra removal or 1 log? 3 log. So I mean, there is a tremendous impact from going from our minimum regulatory standard to lower, and a lot of surface water plants, conventional plants, can meet that recognition standard, and it's just a great thing to be able to tell your customers that, hey, we're being even safer than the EPA requires.
And I do want to add that a lot of the time that when TOP goes out to systems to provide this optimization, we make recommendations that don't include big capital improvements. And that's the other thing that we like to boast that we can do, is help you optimize with the things that you have and not things that you would have to purchase.
Just a follow-up question to that. Do water systems who optimize usually save money?
Absolutely, because that is the goal. If you're over dosing chemicals and we can reduce your chemical doses, that in turn saves you money. So really the goal here is to be optimized with what you have and perform efficiently. That's what we go out and try to do.
Yeah, we actually, one of our newer employees, James Belcher, I think he spoke yesterday about, he was an operator at the surface water plant in Greenville, and when we went through and did an evaluation at his plant, he was amazed at how much money he saved on chemicals when he did a better job optimizing it. So that was a good success story for us.
So it sounds like TOP is focused on surface water treatment plants. What type of assistance does TOP offer of treatment plants? Aside from that, you just spoke about.
So,
David.
So we help surface water treatment plants with treatment, monitoring, reporting. We can help them with record keeping too, but we usually like to let the regional offices handle record keeping. We focus on the other 3 areas. But when we go out to a plant, I guess you could call it like a cradle to grave type approach. We start with, okay, what data are you collecting? Is this data good? Okay, how are you recording that data? And are you reporting it correctly? So, we follow the data through the process just to make sure, the compliance record that the plant is turning in is accurate. And we may, this happens quite a bit at these plants. They're set up with SCADA systems, and it's not uncommon to find that maybe the turbidimeters and the SCADA system aren't communicating correctly, or there are other issues there. So we do spend a lot of time, in particular, checking that SCADA is understanding what each of these online instruments is telling them, and recording it correctly. It's even more important when you're at like a low pressure membrane surface water treatment plant that's highly automated and computer driven, that all that data that gets in there is accurate. And you'd be surprised that, some of the things that we found before that weren't right.
And I just wanted to add something here, Nubia. Two things. One is that all of this comes as no cost to the system. The other thing is that that we are not the enforcement arm of the agency. So when the team comes, we're there to fix and diagnose problems, and that is it. There will be no violations. It's not an inspection. It's just a diagnosis to determine what's going on and get you back on track.
Yeah, we like to say that we are science, not compliance.
Christina, so what about the systems that aren't surface water? What kind of assistance do you offer to systems that may be groundwater or purchase water?
Okay, yeah. So historically, TOP was installed kind of in our agency as surface water focused, but over the years
conventional
surface water focused. Over the years, we have expanded into offering very technical assistance to groundwater systems as well. A lot of what we do is dealing with chlorine and chloramine residuals between purchase water systems and wholesalers. We deal a lot with groundwater plants as well, working on injectors and dosing. Let's see, what else do we do with groundwater plants, especially in East Texas? If you talk to Paige or Clayton, iron and manganese is a big issue with groundwater plants that we go out and do some technical assistance, because there's really just not a lot of training on iron and manganese solutions, right? Dealing with that. What else?
Distribution system.
Distribution,
stuff, yeah.
DBPs, yes. Disinfection byproducts. So we'll also go out and offer technical assistance on dealing with them at the source. So from the well, your first injection point, we'll walk through, kind of do a profile, and then we can even go out into the distribution system and pinpoint where maybe some DBPs are being created. There's typically issues with storage tanks in the distribution system. We see a lot of DBP creation. And so, yeah, we'll go out into the distribution system for groundwater wells as Mark. Mark is raising his hand in the back there.
You have to come up front here, Mark, and talk into a microphone.
Yes.
All right, so Mark is saying don't forget about the East Texas wells that have free ammonia in them that we help people deal with. Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Don't do that again.
So, Christina, you said science, not compliance, right? So what does TOP do if they do find a regulatory issue?
So a lot of the time we'll go ahead and we'll help you right then and there to fix the problem. The only time that we may, refer that to the region is if there is a public health hazard. Remember, I said before that one of our main goals is to protect public health. And so we do have to have that as kind of one of our priorities. But if it's something that we can help you with while we're on site to kind of address and remediate, we will help you do that as part of what we are doing.
Yeah, and we'll follow up after the evaluation with you to help you work through the processes. Like some of our evaluations may be, we say, man, you really need an SOP for how you're doing your backwashing of your filters. So work that SOP up and send it to us. We'll review it and help make sure that you've got the information you need, that kind of thing too.
David, Texas is notoriously, especially during the summers, stricken by weather disasters. Does the Texas Optimization Program get involved with that?
We can, and Brian alluded to a little bit to this earlier. If there's a hurricane, like let's take Hurricane Harvey for example, because that was one, it was big flooding event, and some of the surface water plants down near the coast, Beaumont and Victoria, for instance, had problems, and some of those problems were more technical than the regional folks could handle. So we did get mobilized out to help with that. That's generally when we get called in. If it's surface water, if it's they got flooded and their well isn't working, there's not much we can do except it's not working. So it's not really the kind of stuff that we work on. But generally, if it's something that the region needs help with, we'll come in and help.
So this question is for everybody. I hope each one of you, gives your opinion about this. But what sets the Texas Optimization Program apart from other technical assistance programs?
Sure, I'll start on that one. So the people that come on to top, they get usually several years of kind of intense training to learn top methodologies, and we train everybody and have them prove up that they can run an evaluation. So we have a lot of in-house training. I think that sets us apart. When I came on at the TCEQ, I'm a licensed engineer, but really had very little experience in the kind of things that I work on right now, and I was mentored by people like Noble Johnson and others, Jack Schultz, Alicia, Don. How does top do what they do, and then as you get more and more experience, you add your own spin to it. You start adding, let's do evaluations at low pressure membrane plants. So kind of adding on to what some of the original top directives were. So that's one thing that sets us apart. We do create a lot of the training that, for instance, our financial, managerial, and technical assistance program uses. So we're the ones developing, and we train the trainer on how to present some of that information. And some of the training modules that we develop, may be a little bit too complicated for FMT to handle, and we'll go out, we'll send our contractors out to give customized training or more complex training. So that's another way that sets us apart. Anybody else have any ideas about?
Yeah, so TCEQ does have other resources, like David said, financial, managerial, and technical assistance is like a third-party contract. That's a good training opportunity. Small business local government is also a TCEQ program that offers great training. But the thing about TOP is that we are within the water supply division. We have access to a lot of other resources that those other TCEQ affiliated training resources don't. We also know exactly who to talk to if for whatever situation arises at your public water system. We have in-house engineers, David and Clayton, and we have some contract engineers as well that work directly with us. And so I know there's these situations that Brian loves to tell you stories about where we're out on site, and if a system needs a chlorine boosting injection facility, our engineers are able to get that approved pretty quickly because we have all those resources kind of already lined up. So that's the other thing that makes us, really valuable and sets us apart from some other options within TCEQ.
Yeah, and that reminds me that we also believe strongly in getting as much on-site information as we can, running analysis on-site. So we have a lot of analytical equipment that we bring out to the site. We can run a wide range of tests. There's some things, like if we're dealing with DBPs, we personally can't run the TTHM or HA5 analysis. We may have to send it to a lab, but as much as possible, you know, we do try to get the information on site and work with you right then and there, which is, I think, really helpful. Then, you know, that we do it then, and it's not, okay, we're going to take all this stuff back to the, you know, the office, figure it out, and we'll get back in touch with you. I mean, we love doing on-site training with the operators while we're there.
I'll add my part here. I think it really comes down to, well, two things. One is that, you know, a lot of states outside of the state of Texas really looks to this program and this team for leading the way across the entire nation. So that sets us apart, number one. And then the second thing is you know, alluded to in my bio, you know, I spent a lot of years in the higher level special operations community, and we hand selected everybody. And we figured out the secret sauce, and we got the right people. We figured out the secret sauce here, and it comes from, you've heard Don and Noble and Alicia and people in here that grew this crop of technicians, and now we're growing others and a strong mentorship program and staying really within the sciences and building a team that's really pretty exclusive, if not the best in the nation. And yeah, I said that, and that argument cannot be broken.
And I'll also point out, something that sets us apart is we have a top support contract that's made up of, for the most part, you know, retired TCEQ employees who've got a ton of knowledge, but they don't want to work full time anymore. But they come and work part time with us, and they can transfer their knowledge to our staff, do the complex training that I mentioned before. So that's a great resource for us. Is having all these folks around who can share what they know with us.
Thanks, everyone. Is there anything else that I missed that you guys want to discuss? Maybe talk about?
We would be happy for you to, anybody in the audience, to buy us a beer. We'll go talk with you afterwards if that's what you want to do.
No, I was going to throw out there that we also have, you know, we have a lot of training that is available, and it's on our website in the form of directed assistance modules. I think there's probably 13, 14 different modules. One of the most recent is resiliency, which came out of Winter Storm Uri and Senate Bill 3. So again, all this is free. You know, you can contact us directly. You can work through your TCEQ regional offices. You know, any hook or crook, get a hold of us. We'll come out. We've got a fleet of experts that will come out and help you solve your problem, either on site or remotely, or a combination of the two. So please let us come help you out. We're looking for some work.
Yeah, we don't have it up because we lost our slides, but our email address is top@tceq.texas.gov. And so that will come into our main email inbox, and you're free to email us questions or request assistance or whatever you need. We're available for you.
So while we're still here, is there any questions from the audience that you would like to ask our top panel?
Just really quick, every day is a different day. Something new comes up. I mean, I think that's probably how we all feel in operations and water as well. Is there anything that stands out in the last, 3 or 4 months that was like, wow, this is something we've never done before?
Is this for like groundwater?
Within your organization, some problem that has come up that you're like, oh, we've not dealt with this before, and just kind of just pitched in and solved it?
Oh.
Well, I think I'll add real quick that drought is on our team, and one of the things we got involved in real recently was a workshop down in the Rio Grande Valley and talking about irrigation districts, push water, and really getting into the business of helping water systems determine how many days of water that they have remaining. How do you calculate that, right? And then dealing with water rights. So I've only been in the seat for 3 years, so I'm not saying that we hadn't dealt with drought and groundwater in the past, but it seems like it's gotten a lot more focus, and the systems that are on our drought list are having these problems of trying to figure out how to conserve water and implement use restrictions so we're kind of branching out in that direction. That's one of the things I've seen.
Mm-hmm. And thing I'm going to mention, this is more of an administrative thing for us, but it's been a big deal. We're trying to educate our management about what are the things we do, what are the things we don't do. Brian's boss and his boss's boss are relatively new to the program, and we old timers, we're used to just getting really chaotic requests from, you know, our executives or legislators, and his bosses were going, why is this such a mess? Does it have to be that way? And we kind of scratch our head. Well, I guess it doesn't. So we're trying to set up, you know, just a more logical way that people can ask us for assistance and know what we do and what we don't do. You know, I don't want it to make it sound like we can do anything. That's not the case. I mean, there are some things that we specialize in, but that has been something that's come up in the last few months.
There's been a real heavy interest at the legislature this go round about water, so it seems like the pitch on that's getting pretty high. So we'll see what this next legislative session brings, but the legislator's really interested and energized about it.
And we are a small team. I think, what'd you say, we're 7 people plus some contractors. I mean, we have limited resources. I mean, you know, you can't send us out anywhere across the state anytime. I mean, we're just not enough people. But of course, we try to do the best we can.
So if a water plant wanted to kind of see where they could optimize their process control and treatment and things like that, typically how long would you be available, be on site to help train and see maybe what optimization steps could be taken at that water plant?
So we have a standardized, we call it a special performance evaluation, and I think that that's probably something that would fit this scenario the most. And so what we do is we'd spend 3 days out on site and do like special studies throughout the system and figure out where you can improve, where you could optimize to just perform more efficiently. So if an SPE is maybe something that you were interested in, you could definitely reach out to us, and we could talk back and forth kind of on having that scheduled.
We do have week-long evaluations, or comprehensive performance evaluations, and I know Adam here in North Texas Municipal Water District did an optimization CPE with us last year. We can get really in the weeds, but generally, you know, for that kind of evaluation, 3 to 5 days. If we're going out to a low pressure membrane plant, you know, we're having lots and lots of new ones come online, or new improvements. We kind of had to modify our normal protocols to try to get it down to a 1-day evaluation, you know, to make sure that this new membrane plant's, you know, in compliance, and, you know, the operators are getting the information they need to fill out the SWMOR. So we have a whole variety. We can customize training, but generally those on-site evaluations, like Christina said, 3 to 5 days. And you have to feed us during those. No, I'm kidding. You do not.
One of the things that these comments about training management reminded me of is we developed a process to evaluate the data integrity gathered by the plant and reported by the plant. We presented on that particular topic at the area-wide optimization program meeting in Cincinnati, where all the AWOP states came to be presented. So the following EPA evaluation of our drinking water program gigged us for not having a data integrity program when we had been doing it for years and training our investigators to look at it for years. Our management just didn't know about it and didn't know how to report it. So we've got to train our management.
Very tentatively handed that to me. They don't know what I'm fixing to say, but I would tell you as operators in the audience that interface during these investigations that this team does provides you opportunities for training and experience in the water treatment industry that you will not find anywhere else in any kind of situation. So when you say, what does TOP do for me, and I'm an operator, TOP offers you the opportunity to increase your knowledge about the things that you're doing, to increase the safety and of the product that you're producing for your system, and decrease the cost to your customer. So there's more just to the TOP program than just evaluating a system, running an MCPE, or running drought considerations. It can touch you as an operator directly. I have seen operators go from the D license all the way to superintendents of a major city for water by interacting and working with the optimization program in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
And I've been here a long, long time. I was one of the original 3 that put this program together.
That was what, 1906? No, I'm just kidding. Not that bad. So one thing, thanks for saying that, Don, because one thing it reminded me of is, I don't know, now I'm having a senior moment. I forgot. Oh, I know what it was. So it's a really good thing we should have mentioned. You know, we are kind of operations specialists. You know, when I was an engineer before, I was a design engineer, you know, or municipal engineer. It's really totally different stuff that we do, and not a lot of your consultants have this kind of experience that we have as TOP team members. So we really focus on operations and, you know, helping the operators. So I think that's another thing that sets us apart.
I was going to add to that too, is that we have Mark McCaslin back in the back here. We had a water system out in West Texas that had the eagle eye of EPA on them, and the operator was not able to pass the test because of the operator math. And so TOP executed Task Force McCaslin back there, and he went and provided one-on-one training with this operator and passed the test and really helped out there. So we're very flexible and adjustable to what the needs are of the water system.
Before I pass this on, I just want to say, we learn from operators. We listen to operators. That's the difference between us as engineers and many other engineers.